you're back again. Huh, that's good. Yeah, if you haven't watched part 1 of my Monday Night Raw review, go do that right now. Otherwise, you won't get anything on the show. But anyway, this is part 2 of my Monday Night Raw review, because my camera is being stupid. So, anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Next up on the list, we got Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott. After Ruby Riott revealed to Charlie Caruso that there never was a Riott squad, and she made both Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, the tattooed villainess of the Raw Women's Division, battled Morgan in a match with roots dating back months. An aggressive Liv Morgan backed her opponent into the corner, but Ruby Riott caught her with a cheap shot and seized control of the match. Liv Morgan delivered a middle rope drop kick to halt Ruby Riott's onslaught and score a near fall. Ruby Riott answered, hanging Morgan up on the top rope and delivering a wicked kick to the face. The green-haired vixen talked trash, claiming she would always own her. But Morgan popped up from out of nowhere and delivered a spring forward flattener for the upset win. So as a result, Liv Morgan defeated Ruby Riott. What do I grade this? I grade this a C+. Because this is one of those matches in which the vocals of the performers helped elevate it. Riott talked trash the entire way through, as she looked to get into the head of her former teammate. When she did it late, though, it cost her, as Morgan scored the upset victory. That bit of vocalization added to a story the commentary team had already laid out, and the result was a solid presentation. After Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton put over Morgan's victory as a chance for her to move on from Riott and her old team. Perhaps this means we'll finally be able to build on her buzzy return earlier this year and her win over Natalya at the WrestleMania 36 kickoff show. Where that leaves the criminally underrated Ruby Riott remains to be seen, though. Moving on to the next one. Next up on the list, we got a Money in the Bank qualifying match between Rey Mysterio and Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy returned to WWE television for the first time since WrestleMania 36 and battled Rey Mysterio in a Money in the Bank qualifier with the opportunity to reverse the fortunes of Seth Rollins and his colleagues. Not bad for an old man, the Australian said as he shook off an early onslaught from his opponent. Murphy targeted a finger that the commentators speculated may be dislocated, stomping it on the diamond plate entrance ramp heading into the break. Murphy continued his concentrated attack on Rey Mysterio, punishing his hand and potentially taking away his potential 619 finisher as a result. Meanwhile, the commentary team continued to push how important it was for Mysterio to compete in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Mysterio finally mounted to a comeback, taking Murphy off of his feet, and then following with the head scissors onto the ramp. Rey Mysterio tried for the 619, but Murphy countered, only for the veteran to drop him with a DDT for 2. On the floor, Mysterio launched Murphy into the barricade with a head scissors. Back into the ring, Murphy uncorked with a flurry that culminated in a brainbuster for a close near fall. That fight spilled onto the top rope, from where Mysterio came off with the Destroyer pile driver. The 619 and top rope splash followed as Mysterio earned a gusty win and a trip to Money in the Bank. As a result, Rey Mysterio defeated Buddy Murphy. What do I grade this? I grade this an A because this is a good match between two guys who have been responsible for high-quality bouts more than a few times over their careers. Murphy and Mysterio showcased some excellent in-ring chemistry and left me and everybody who watched it wondering what they might be capable of with more time in a pay-per-view setting. Mysterio winning makes sense given the context of the story they told and the commentary put over. But one has to wonder, how many losses can Buddy Murphy take before he becomes just another lackey for Seth Rollins? Given his absence of late and the fact that there was little mention of Rollins in Murphy's narrative throughout the match, one has to wonder if WWE Creative isn't phasing that part of the Monday Night Messiah's presentation out. If so, it would be a major blow to Murphy's status with the brand. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Next up on the list, we got Kaden Carter versus Charlotte Flair. The NXT Women's Champion Charlotte Flair took the squared circle for the first time since her victory over Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 36, battling Kaden Carter in singles competition. The Queen found out quickly that Carter planned on seizing the opportunity as she took the fight to the champ and trapped her in a submission. Flair fought out though, catching Carter with a nasty elbow to the face and downing her with a spear. A figure eight followed and the Queen scored the submission victory. As a result, Charlotte Flair defeated Carter. What do I grade this? I grade this a C. Because Carter got more offense in on Flair than you may have expected. But the rushed nature of this match hurt its quality. It was messy at times, despite strong efforts from both women, and never reached the quality of match we have come to expect from the Queen. Even with that said, it was a great representation of what we can come to expect from Charlotte Flair. As she sets out to elevate the credibility of the NXT Women's Champion. Now moving on to the next one. Next up on the list we got Akira Tozawa versus Andrade. Still reeling from the 2 Claymore kicks he suffered earlier in the night, the United States Champion Andrade made his way to the ring for a singles match against Akira Tozawa, who endured a beatdown at the hands of Zelina Vega's trio last week. Tozawa unloaded on Andrade early, dropping him with a knee strike that nearly earned him the massive upset. The former Cruiserweight champion flattened Eli Dello, however you say that, with a senton from the ring apron on the floor, and then blasted him with a missile drop kick. Momentary distraction from Vega allowed Andrade to finally halt his opponent's momentum and seize control of the match. Tozawa fought back and showed off a renewed aggression, working a submission and nearly scoring a series of pinfalls off roll-ups. A super kick from Tozawa allowed him to scale the ropes, but Andrade crouched him, delivered the hammerlock DDT, and scored a hard-fought win. As a result, Andrade defeated Akira Tozawa. What do I grade this? A B+. This was a fun bit of business as the commentary team was not so subtly suggested Andrade's run-in with Drew McIntyre earlier in the night, and his associates' failure to come to his aid might cost him against Akira Tozawa. And it nearly did. The match saw Andrade bump all over the ring and put Tozawa over as a threat to upset him and average beating he endured a week ago. In that regard, it was very much like the 2000 hidden gem between Triple H and Taku Minochakaneko, in which the game had fans believing that he'd actually lose before he finally mustered up enough to put him away. Andrade had been consistently great for 3 years now, and with Vega receiving more television time, and rightfully so, it appears his stature on Raw is about to grow. A rivalry with McIntyre, which looks to still be in play, could firmly establish him as a legitimate main event talent. Moving on to the next one. Next up on the list, we got Bianca Belair taking on Santana Garrett. Bianca Belair returned to the squared circle to face NXT's Santana Garrett. The EST overpowered her opponent early, but Garrett faced Belair in a blatant sign of disrespect. She answered with a waistlock takeover. Belair continued to offset Garrett's offense, delivering a split-legged splash to the back of her opponent and followed up with the kiss of death for the victory. As a result, Bianca Belair defeated Garrett. What do I grade this? I grade this a C. Or C. Why? Because this wasn't the best representation of what Belair is capable of. But it wasn't supposed to be. It was a glorified squash match designed to put the EST over as the brightest young star on the roster. And then in that regard, it worked. What didn't, though, is the overzealous Street Profits on commentary, to the point where Jerry Lawler had to tone them down a bit, probably at the order of WWE Chairman Vince McMahon. The presentation did not quite work as well as it did on the Raw after WrestleMania. Hopefully we can get back to more of that and less of this over-the-top highlighting of Belair, who is good enough to get over without needing her attributes and accomplishments screamed at the audience every single week. Moving on to the next one. And finally, the main event! Drew McIntyre versus Angel Garza. Angel Garza took advantage of a momentary distraction from Austin Theory early as he attacked Drew McIntyre from the opening bell. The Scottish psychopath fought back, reddening Garza's chest with a series of chops. His left leg, though, became the target of Garza's concentrated attack. McIntyre fought back and unloaded with his opponent with a wicked right hand to the face before trying to wipe out all three of Zelina Vega's charges at ringside with a suicide dive. After laying Andrade and Theory out with Claymore kicks, he put an end to Garza with the same finisher for the victory. After the match, McIntyre re-entered the square circle and dropped Garza with another Claymore, sending a message to Seth Rollins and vowing to reign dominantly. As a result, Drew McIntyre defeated Angel Garza. What do I grade this? A C, because everything WWE creative and executive director Paul Heyman accomplished last week in building Zelina Vega's faction up was erased this week, when McIntyre bowled them all over and left them lying like jokes, with the commentary team even yucking it up to end the show. It has been a long issue within the WWE that so much effort and emphasis is put into building babyfaces that the company often forgets the value of heels to program them against. Hulk Hogan was only as great a babyface as he was because he had Roddy Piper to play off of, while Stone Cold Steve Austin had Vince McMahon as a rival. Drew McIntyre could have had a great trio to play off of for the next few months, all while combating Seth Rollins. But he's completely erased their credibility in a single night! Why bother spending that much television time in consecutive weeks on Zelina Vega, Andrade, and Angel Garza, and Austin Theory if this was the outcome? And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and jump. Punch! That's it, guys. And pizza. Ring that notification bell. Like the match has started. I'll see you guys next time. Sawi. Okay, see you guys.